WFYI podcasts are brought to you by Bloomington, home to the Indiana Hoosiers, and over 200,000 acres of fall foliage in the Hoosier National Forest. Enjoy in-seasonal flavors at local restaurants, experience views atop 4 fire towers, or catch a Big Ten football game at Memorial Stadium. Plan your fall getaway at visitbloomington.com.
WFYI podcasts are brought to you by the 34th Heartland International Film Festival. Returns October 9th through the 19th, showcasing 100 independent films from the Indy area. Festival tickets and more at heartlandfilmfestival.org.
Asher White is a multi-instrumentalist, producer, visual artist, and writer based in Brooklyn, New York. Asher was raised in Evanston, Illinois, and her prolific creative practice began in her early teens. She started releasing music on Bandcamp at age 14, and by her mid-20s, she had released more than a dozen albums. Asher's pop vision moves freely across genres, including drone, folk, tropicalia, noise rock, and chamber pop. Deeply informed by her trans identity and Jewish spirituality, Asher's work is both intimate and expansive. Asher is just 25 years old, but she's already released 16 albums. Her 2024 LP, Home Constellation Study, was praised by Pitchfork for its imagination, complexity, and feeling. Asher's latest album, 8 Tips for Full Catastrophe Living, was issued by Joyful Noise Recordings, an Indianapolis label founded by Carl Hofstetter. Asher White will be performing in Indianapolis on October 1st at State Street Pub. And Asher will join me in a moment. But first, let's hear her debut single for Joyful Noise Recordings. This is Kratom Headache Girls' Night.
We'll all be bridesmaids, and in the end the Travis doesn't bend, but it aims our eyes at a stroke of luck. Yeah, nobody wants to work this mighty in a field alone, reading on the subway here and crying home.
That was Asher White with Kratom Headache Girls' Night. And Asher White is my guest this week. Let's join our conversation. Asher, thank you so much for taking time to talk to our listeners in Indiana today. I appreciate it.
I can't express to you how honored I am to do so. I love the state of Indiana. I've only been to Gary, and I'm excited to expand my horizons southward.
Cool. I wanted to ask you about your relationship to Indiana. You'll be playing here on October 1st at the State Street Pub, a beloved local venue here. Am I correct that you grew up in Evanston, Illinois?
You're 100% correct.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about growing up in the Midwest? And I'm going to ask you about why you were in Gary, but first just tell us about your relationship to the Midwest. We all have our biases, but I have some real Midwestern supremacy beliefs about integrity and about invention that exists. I think the great pop songwriting of America comes from the Midwest. Jackson 5, obviously Gary, Indiana born Michael Jackson. I think the fact that if you grow up in a Midwestern city, you have to drive a considerable distance to find anything worth seeing. Like the promise of natural beauty is actually not easily accessible. You have to really work for it. I think this is very important, and you really understand the way that cities kind of sprawl out and slowly dissolve into farmland in a way that I thought was regular. And then when I moved to the East Coast, I was shocked to discover that at the edge of every city is like a gorgeous waterfall and a bluff, and then it's like very like wealthy estates. It's a very different world. But the heartland of America is distinct and unique, and instills a sense of real intention and purpose, I think. Yeah, I agree with your observations about the importance of Midwest culture. the Midwest was an engine for many significant musical movements. Did you feel connected with some of those movements? Has that influenced you?
Yeah, I mean, I'll also asterisk and say I've always felt like sort of a city slicker because the Evanston is basically effectively serves as a neighborhood of Chicago. It kind of gradiates slowly into the city, and I felt like I grew up largely engaged in a Chicago noise and experimental music scene. Chicago punk scene is very like raw, kind of messed up noise rock. That I was going to in the Pilsen neighborhood, in the Logan Square neighborhood of Chicago. Later, in like I don't know, in the maybe 8 years since I left Chicago, I've really like done the kind of like archaeological deep dive into the music history, into the city's music history, which is as you're saying, like just kind of ridiculously rich and beautiful and multifaceted and kaleidoscopic and everything. I'm right now, you're catching me at a moment in my life where I'm like going through my first major like Cheap Trick and power pop phase, which is embarrassing. It's kind of latent. I'm 25. I feel like I should have been doing this 10 years ago, but I also think of like Guided by Voices and stuff. Like I feel like Dayton has a crazy like sugary sweet pop thing that I really identify with. Yeah.
You mentioned your exploration of Indiana has been limited to Gary thus far. What were you doing in Gary?
going to Harold's Chicken. I don't know. I don't know. I've just got to Gary, I think, en route to other places. But it's really, really profound to move to drive from the South Side into Gary. I also really love Freddie Gibbs, who's Gary-based rapper. Freddie Gibbs, who talks about it like it is an extension of the South Side. Like the way that he talks about Gary kind of just, it's like, he like rounds up to Chicago, which I always think is interesting. And it's just, you drive into Gary from the South Side of Chicago and it's like, you really feel like the end is nigh. Like you see these enormous, like, it's like what the Onceler makes the world into in the Lorax. Like it's like these huge pipes emitting like enormous plumes of black smoke. But then the city is like incredibly alive and like bustling and teeming with activity and stuff. I really adore it. It's like a pretty totalizing experience of America to be in Gary.
Your relationship with Indiana is quickly accelerating. Your new album, 8 Tips for Full Catastrophe Living, is being released by Joyful Noise here in Indianapolis. Tell me about your relationship with Joyful Noise.
It's nothing but like, I feel so lucky. They're the nicest people. I think this was immediately instrumental in us getting along, is that Carl has a true Midwesterner's heart. And the spirit of the smile and the handshake and the nicety is king in his person, and we really just get along. I sent them this album about a year ago, and they immediately emailed me back being like, this is sick as hell, this is sick as heck, you should let's put it out. And I was like, really? I really didn't think they would like it because it's kind of messed up and all over the place, and they were really very sweet about it and optimistic. And the actual labels kind of diffuse over the country. Some live in Austin, some live in New York, but the headquarters are in the heart of Indianapolis. So it'll be very exciting to like actually visit the brain of the operation and hang out with the administrators.
I want to ask you about a song on the record, but first I want to go ahead and play it and just let it unfold for our listeners naturally. I'm going to play the song Beers with My Name on Them. After we listen, I'll ask you about it. But this is Asher White off the debut Joyful Noise album, 8 Tips for Full Catastrophe Living. This is Beers with My Name on Them. That was Asher White with Beers with My Name on Them off the album 8 Tips for Full Catastrophe Living, and Asher is my guest. Asher, this is a really incredible piece of music. When I was listening to it, it just unfolds in these unexpected ways, and there's this full-on sort of drum and bass moment in the track. Tell me about this piece, and if you want to speak to the album in a larger way, feel free to do so as well.
Yeah, well, now now it's going to seem like I'm pandering to the Indiana scene, and probably everyone's going to think that I'm some kind of grifter and poser who lives in New York and is trying to capitalize, on some Midwestern optics. But I want to give a shout out to Gary Indiana's Jalen.
Yes,
the greatest working electronic producer in the game, who's really unsparing with her touch, and can be pretty ballistic and overpowering. And I really have always loved her since her first album, Black Origami, came out in 2015. I was a freshman in high school, and it really blew me away. Of course, also techno and Chicago house, Larry Levin, and Theo Parrish. That stuff is really important to me, and I listen to a lot of it, and I don't really much find myself a feasible Chicago house or Detroit techno producer, just because of the year I was born and the body I was born into. But I have always loved that music really, really dearly, and feel that I'm always looking for ways to integrate it, and I'm not afraid, or at least I allowed myself to sort of daringly just kind of let loose with no warning in the middle of a guitar rock song. So the impetus behind doing something like that song, which just kind of like erupts spontaneously into industrial techno, was truly just because I wanted to do it. I thought that it would be funny and reflective of what interests me, kind of without any consideration as to whether it would be expected or anticipated or really make much sense.
Anything else you want to say about the record? I've read some interviews with you where you seem to have some concerns about it being maybe commercial enough to appeal to people, but I thought it was really a powerful record. Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, I think it's good. I wouldn't play it for my grandparents. You know what I mean? Like, I think it asks some patience of the listener. So I got really self-conscious about that. Especially, it's just my first album where I would be doing a radio interview in Indianapolis about it. So I'm like kind of scurrying to try to make myself like a more marketable figure than I think I was meant to be. But a lot of it's about the deteriorating auto industry in America and the failure of capitalism and stuff. So if you have ever driven through the back roads of downstate Indiana or Illinois, I'm sure there's some sort of corrosive texture that you might resonate with. And I hope you'll find yourself surprised and maybe mildly offended or agitated by the sounds on this record.
There was a song I wanted to play before we go, Asher, that I found really beautiful. I'm a huge fan of the singer-songwriter Judy Sill. You performed one of her songs, Down Where the Valleys Are Low, on a compilation for the Red Hot organization called Transa. Tell us about your involvement in this project and anything you want to say about your performance of this piece.
It's really amazing because we got really lucky, everyone involved in Transit, because the premise of it was that it's for trans rights, but it actually preceded by about a year it becoming actually urgently terrifying to be trans in America in a real way. It always has been, and it's always been upsetting, but they really waged an acute war pretty within the past year or so. So just from a press standpoint, it was very lucky, for us promoting this record, because it's really scary. But the record is a compilation of a bunch of trans artists and queer artists covering songs from the near and distant canon that resonate with them or that they found power in or refuge in. And Eli Winter, who's an amazing Chicagoan folk guitarist, asked me to collaborate with him and said, let's do a Judy Sill song. And this was the obvious choice because it sounds like it's always existed, this song. It's just an ancient sounding, beautiful gospel song. it's just a perfect song. And the original recording of it is really weird. Like, it's a really kind of peculiar recording. Like, Judy says, she had a lot of problems, and a lot of the songs that she recorded are really raw and sort of unfinished sounding, or like fraught in some way, which I understand to be an open invitation to interpret them. So it was really an exciting privilege to be able to get involved in that.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to end with that song. But first, anything you want to share about your upcoming performance here in Indianapolis on October 1st at State Street?
Yeah, despite being lofty and overly verbose and saying a bunch of stuff that you'll probably have to edit through or at least play on double speed, we are a rock band, and the reason that we play live is for catharsis and also to override the pretension of the records. So we're about to rock the heck out, and we're a 3-piece power trio: noise rock, garage rock, drunken. We're gonna be doing MC5. We're gonna be doing, but like bad, but like that's what we're interested in. So I'm excited to pull up at State Street Pub and just like kind of go crazy on them. If you're gonna be there, come in the front row. I'll puke all over you. Let's go wild.
Well, I look forward to that. It was great to meet you. I love what you're doing. Thank you for taking a few minutes to talk to our listeners here in Indiana. Appreciate it, Asher.
My pleasure. It's good to meet you, Kyle, and good to be heard on Indianapolis. I love you all.
Thank you. This is Asher White with Down Where the Valleys Are Low.
Down where the valleys are low, there's a refuge so high. And down where the coldest winds blow, there the warmest winds high. And deep in the forest of woe, sweet deliverances lie.
WFYI podcasts are brought to you by the 34th Heartland International Film Festival. Returns October 9th through the 19th, showcasing 100 independent films from the Indy area. Festival tickets and more at heartlandfilmfestival.org.